Wisdom Nights Complete Lecture Series. The relationship between man and woman. Why we seek love. Close the quiet rhythm beneath your ribs. The gentle reminder that you are alive. Beats for no reason other than to keep you here, in this world of touch, scent, sound, and wonder. Deep inside, this rhythm is older than your name. Remembers every hand that ever held you, every glance that saw you, every warmth that reminded you what home feels like. If you listen closely, you will hear that this rhythm has always been asking the same question. Why do we seek love? It is not a hobby of the soul. It is its nature. Like rivers seeking the ocean, we are drawn toward connection, again and again. Across lifetimes, across mistakes, across the silence that sometimes grows between two people. It tells us that love begins long before romance. In the first days of life, a newborn's heartbeat slows when it feels skin against skin. The body learns safety through warmth. The nervous system memorizes the rhythm of another person's breathing, and that becomes its definition of peace. The adult heart still remembers. It still yearns for that same presence, not perfection, not excitement, but presence. The feeling that someone sees us and stays. Story of love begins with this memory, the memory of being held, of being known, of belonging. Between that memory and the lives we live now lies a maze of fears, expectations, and unhealed wounds. The science of attachment shows that each of us carries an inner pattern, a map of how we learn to love and to protect ourselves. Some of us learn to chase, to cling, believing that love disappears when we rest. Others learn to withdraw, believing that distance is the only way to stay safe. And a few have found balance. The quiet confidence of secure connection, the courage to be close without losing themselves. Even those who love wisely are not free from the longing. Love is never static. It is a living tide. It pulls, it retreats, it returns, shaping the shore of our hearts with each encounter. Speak of oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin, the invisible chemistry that lights the brain when we touch, when we gaze. But behind these hormones lies something far older than biology. Love is evolution's poetry. It teaches us to protect, to cooperate, to create. Without love, our species would not have survived. And yet, we did not evolve only to reproduce, but to remember what unity feels like. Pinkola Estes called this instinct the wild nature. She wrote that a woman's soul is like a wolf, intuitive, fierce, loyal, and wise. When she loves, she does not dissolve into the other. She dances beside him under the moon. And man too carries his wildness. The ancient protector, the dreamer, the builder of fire. When his love is awake, he does not cage the wolf. He walks beside her in awe. Then is not an escape from solitude. It is the sacred meeting of two whole beings who dare to stay awake. We seek love not because we are empty, but because love mirrors back the infinite we already contain. It is not always gentle. Love breaks us open to show where the light is trapped. It humbles us, tests us, exposes our illusions. But through that breaking, something grows. Something more honest, more human, more divine. Heartbreak, every disappointment, every goodbye becomes a chapter in love's education. We learn to see not only what others can give, but what we ourselves bring. Our tenderness, our fear, our unspoken need to be forgiven. It is not a destination, it is a pilgrimage. We walk it barefoot, sometimes bleeding, sometimes dancing. There is no map, only the compass of the heart, and it points always toward connection. The soft hours of the night when the world is silent and the body begins to rest, you might feel that longing rise, a quiet ache in the chest, a whisper saying, "There is more." Do not mistake it for that is love, calling you home. It is not asking you to find another person right now. It is asking you to remember the warmth of your own heart, to be present with yourself, to become the presence you once sought in others. True love begins there, in the moment you stop running from your own reflection. Breathe deeply. Let the night hold you. Somewhere in the stillness, every soul you have ever loved is still connected to you. Nothing real is ever lost. Love only changes form, from touch to memory, from presence to light, from longing to peace. You are not alone. You never were. And as you rest in this truth, perhaps the question, why do we seek love, turns into something gentler. Why did we ever think we had lost it? The nature of desire, between body and soul. There is a fire in the human heart that has burned since the first dawn. We call it desire. It glows behind the eyes, moves through the breath, and hums in the pulse. It is the yearning that wakes us at night, the ache that refuses to be silenced even when we try to reason it away. To understand desire, we must go beyond the myths that confine it. Desire is not lust. It is not weakness. It is the language of life itself, the way the universe calls us to move, to create, to become more. Without desire, there would be no music, no art, no love, no birth. Even the stars, burning in the infinite dark, are driven by their desire to shine. Modern science tells us that desire begins deep in the brain, in a network older than thought. The limbic system lights up when we are drawn to another person. Dopamine, the molecule of anticipation, surges like the first spark. It whispers, something extraordinary is near. It rewards the chase, the dream, the fantasy, the promise more than the possession. When the desired one appears, oxytocin, the hormone of bonding, softens the heart, lowers fear, and creates trust. It is why lovers breathe more slowly when they are near each other. It is why a mother's touch quiets her child. Desire at its core is a call for connection, not only sexual, but emotional, spiritual, creative. Even when we long for a person, what we truly crave is the feeling of aliveness they awaken in us. Attachment theory tells us that desire is shaped by memory. We love the way we were loved, or the way we were not. Those who grew up with warmth and stability tend to desire calmly. Their passion flows like a steady river. Those who grew up with unpredictability often desire in storms. Their love is mixed with anxiety, fear, urgency. And some who learned that closeness means pain may hide from desire altogether, freezing it, numbing it, pretending that self-sufficiency can replace connection. Desire has two faces, instinct and meaning. The body wants to touch, to merge, to know. The soul wants to be understood, to be seen, to be known. When these two streams meet, love becomes luminous. When they are divided, love becomes restless. Scientists can map the chemistry of attraction, but they cannot explain why one person's voice moves us while another's touch leaves us cold. This is the mystery, that desire is both chemical and cosmic. Testosterone and estrogen may influence attraction, but what draws one soul to another is resonance, a subtle alignment of rhythm, history, and possibility. When two people meet and feel that spark, their brains synchronize, their pupils dilate, their heartbeats begin to mirror. Neuroscientists call it limbic resonance, a silent conversation between nervous systems. In that moment, words become unnecessary. The body remembers that it once belonged to something larger than itself. Where there is desire, there is also fear, because to want is to risk. The deeper the longing, the greater the vulnerability. Many of us carry invisible scars, old heartbreaks, betrayals, rejections, and each one teaches the nervous system to protect itself. Some respond by clinging tighter, others by building walls. But both are attempts to control what cannot be controlled. The wild flow of human connection. When desire ripens into love, the body and soul begin to speak the same language. Touch becomes communication. Silence becomes understanding. The body says, "I am here." The soul answers, "So am I." This harmony requires that we stop using others as mirrors and start seeing them as mysteries. To desire without consuming, to love without losing ourselves. Unconscious desire seeks control. It mistakes possession for safety. It clings, manipulates, conquers, consumes. But the more we try to own love, the more it slips away. True desire asks not for ownership, but for presence. Let me see you. Let me be seen. Desire is not static. It evolves with us. In youth, it is hungry, impatient, untamed. In maturity, it deepens. It learns the art of waiting, listening, cherishing. At its highest form, desire becomes compassion, the alchemy of turning raw craving into loving presence. In the quiet of the night, breathe and notice the warmth behind your ribs. That pulse is desire, not for someone, but for something. It is the soul's reminder that you are alive. Follow it gently, as one would follow a star across the desert. When two people meet, each carrying that living flame, love becomes not a need but a celebration. The attachment dance. How we connect and fear. Love does not begin with romance. It begins with regulation, with the heartbeat of safety that tells the body, you are not alone. Before we ever speak of passion or dreams, our nervous system has already learned its language of connection, long before words, before choices, before we even knew the meaning of love. At birth, the human brain is unfinished. We depend on others to complete us. A mother's touch, a father's voice, the gentle rhythm of being held. These are not luxuries, they are architecture. When an infant is embraced, its heart rate slows, its breathing synchronizes with the parents. Oxytocin releases and creates co-regulation, two nervous systems calming one another through presence. This is the first dance of attachment. If love in childhood was predictable, the brain learns that the world is kind. If love was inconsistent, the brain learns vigilance. If love was absent or painful, the brain learns isolation. These imprints form attachment styles, living memories, not labels. Secure attachment grows when care is steady and repair follows conflict. Such people feel worthy of love and can be close while breathing freely. Anxious attachment arises when care is inconsistent. Warm one day, distant the next. The heart learns to chase what it cannot hold, to confuse intensity with intimacy. Avoidant attachment grows where care is cold or rejecting. To survive, the child turns inward, building walls of self-sufficiency. Closeness feels dangerous. Distance feels safe. When we fall in love, the brain revisits the past. The amygdala scans for threat. The hippocampus recalls old memories. The prefrontal cortex tries to make sense. Secure states activate the parasympathetic system. Safety slows the pulse. Threat activates the sympathetic system. We fight, flee, or freeze. A cold text to an anxious heart can feel like abandonment. A request for closeness to an avoidant heart can feel like suffocation. In relationships, these nervous systems dance. The anxious reaches out. The avoidant steps back. The closer one moves, the further the other retreats. Each reacts to ghosts of the past. Neither is wrong. Both are asking for regulation. One needs closeness to feel safe. The other needs space to feel safe. Awareness changes the dance. The anxious learns that peace is not found in control. The avoidant learns that freedom is not found in isolation. Both discover that safety is co-created. Healing requires emotional self-regulation. Pausing before reacting. Breathing through the urge to cling or withdraw. Choosing presence over protection. The brain rewires with practice. Love becomes less of a storm, more of a tide. Secure love is not perfect love. It still feels anger, confusion, distance, but it returns, it repairs, it listens. Two whole beings choose communion. I need you without shame. I trust you without fear. Carl Jung wrote that every soul contains both masculine and feminine, animus and anima. Partners mirror our unhealed parts, not to punish, but to complete. The anxious seeks the avoidant, and the avoidant meets the anxious, each a teacher of what the other fears. When both awaken, conflict becomes dialogue and fear becomes rhythm. To stay with yourself, with another, with discomfort, is the work of love. The anxious learns to stay without constant reassurance. The avoidant learns to stay even when fear whispers, run. To stay does not mean to suffer endlessly, but to witness what is real. Trust is a physical state. The vagus nerve signals calm to every organ. Holding hands lowers blood pressure. A caring gaze reduces pain. Shared laughter boosts immunity. Connection is molecular. Love is the oldest therapy the body knows. Beneath psychology lies spirit. Attachment is the soul's way of learning devotion. The anxious learns faith. The avoidant learns surrender. The secure learns gratitude. Conscious love stops demanding that others fix our emptiness. Instead, we hold space for each other's becoming. Each time you choose patience over panic, listening over defensiveness, truth over withdrawal, you rewire the sacred architecture of your mind. The brain learns what the heart practices. Love is a muscle we build with awareness. At the end of every storm, beneath all stories and scars, two nervous systems are simply seeking harmony. Can I rest in your presence? The wild woman and the inner wolf. There is a place inside every human being, untamed, ancient, and waiting. It breathes beneath the noise of our daily selves. It is the voice that whispers at night, "Remember who you are." This is the realm of the wild woman, not a creature of chaos, but of clarity. Not savage, but whole. Not lost, but free. She is the instinct that knows the difference between hunger and love, between danger and desire, between silence that heals and silence that harms. Opposite her, but not her enemy, lives the inner wolf, the masculine force of focus, direction, and protection. He is not the predator of her spirit, but the guardian of her wildness. His true duty is not to cage the wild woman, but to stand beside her, to love her without trying to own her fire. Inside every human being, these two are seeking each other, not as lovers only, but as forces of balance. The feminine is intuition, creation, the river that changes shape. The masculine is structure, clarity, the mountain that holds the river's path. Apart, we live divided. Together, we live in harmony. Society loves order more than truth and calls obedience virtue. But the spirit does not bloom in cages. When we suppress instinct, it returns as anxiety. When we bury desire, it returns as numbness. Peace without freedom is not peace, it is extinction. Reclaiming the wild woman is not rebellion, it is remembrance. It begins with listening. To the gut that says no, to the heart that says stay, to the dream that says run. Every intuition is a breadcrumb leading you back to your forest. She rises when you dance, weep without apology, and love without shrinking. When two people meet from this wholeness, from the union of wild woman and inner wolf, love becomes elemental. They do not try to fix one another, they see through one another. Their love is not fragile, it is fierce in truth. It burns away illusion until only essence remains. Modern science remembers what the ancients knew. Embodied cognition. Wisdom lives not only in the brain, but in the body. Suppressed emotion lives in the muscles and breath. Released, the nervous system reorganizes. The wild woman heals through embodiment, not explanation. The wolf heals through awareness, not control. To integrate them is to live fully human, intuitive yet grounded, mystical yet sane. Across cultures, the wild woman appears. Inanna, Lilith, Kali, Artemis. Each myth reminds us, freedom is sacred, and the feminine soul cannot be owned. But the wild woman is not only female, she lives in all who dare to feel. To awaken her, you need not run from the world, you need to return to yourself. Touch earth, be silent, write truth, breathe like wings remembering flight. Each act of awareness is a thread back to your primal soul. Every wild woman has a shadow, rage that destroys or escapes. But even her rage is holy. a scream of truth in a world of pretense. To love the wild woman is to embrace the night sky with all its storms. The inner wolf howls not in despair, but in devotion, singing to her light even when hidden. When they unite, we stop searching for someone to complete us. We become seeker and sanctuary. The mind no longer fights the heart. Discipline no longer kills desire. Freedom no longer means loneliness. Balance is movement. Harmony is music between opposites. Together they whisper, live with courage, love with instinct, create with soul, the alchemy of love and loss. There is a silence that follows every ending. A silence so thick that even breath feels loud within it. It is the echo left when love withdraws its body but not its memory. We call it loss, but loss is only half the story. The other half is transformation, the quiet alchemy that turns pain into wisdom and endings into gateways. In the laboratory of the body, love is chemistry. Every gaze, every touch, every promise was once an exchange of molecules: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. When love is gone, those same molecules crash. The body mourns not only the person, but the entire ecosystem that connection created. Heartbreak is not a metaphor. It is the body remembering touch that no longer comes. Grief is not punishment. It is evidence that we have loved deeply. In physics, energy cannot be destroyed. It only changes form. Love obeys the same law. When it leaves the physical, it transforms into memory, compassion, understanding. The alchemy of loss is this sacred conversion, from attachment to awareness, from possession to presence. The mind seeks meaning, tries to rewrite the story, to resurrect what was. But grief speaks in dreams, in sudden tears, in quiet moments when the soul whispers, "Let go." To heal is not to erase memory, but to stop needing it to be different. Heartbreak, if we let it, is a profound education. It strips us bare of illusion. It reminds us that love was never ours to own, only ours to experience. Through loss, we learn that love is not a possession, but a presence. The people we lose remain within us not as ghosts, but as galaxies, light we navigate by. Alchemy was never about metal into gold, but suffering into understanding. Grief is the fire that burns away false self. When we stop fighting pain, it begins to teach. Pain, when embraced, becomes compassion. Compassion, lived, becomes wisdom. And wisdom is love reborn through fire. Every soul moves through the same seasons: union, separation, longing, renewal. They are not mistakes. Love awakens, loss deepens. Together they sculpt the heart to hold both joy and sorrow. Impermanence teaches us to cherish without clinging. The flower is no less sacred for its fading. Neuroscience shows grief reshapes the brain. Meditation, presence, expression help integrate loss. Each aware tear is a rewiring, a signal that the body is learning safety again. Healing is not forgetting, it is remembering with peace. Perhaps love was never confined to form. Perhaps it is a frequency that continues, traveling through memory, dream, silence. Those we love become woven into the fabric of our consciousness. When we feel their presence, it is resonance. Clinging freezes love. To love fully, we must allow endings. The wound is the place where the light enters you. The light of awareness transforms sorrow into sanctity. Think of your heart as a crucible, a vessel that holds both fire and gold. Each heartbreak refines it, burning away fear, pride, illusion, until only essence remains. To have loved and lost is not failure, it is initiation. One day the ache softens, laughter rises without guilt. It does not mean forgetting, it means integrating. The soul knows how to recycle pain into purpose. This is the final stage of alchemy, not escape, but evolution. Love is the great transformer, and loss its hidden teacher. Every ending carves space for a beginning. What we lose in form, we gain in essence. The person leaves, but the love remains, widened, purified, ready to embrace the world. At the end of grief there comes a sacred stillness. It is not emptiness, but spaciousness, the place where you meet your own soul. There, love no longer seeks or clings. It simply is. You were never broken, you were being remade. The silence after the storm. There comes a moment after every great storm when the sky, heavy and torn, begins to clear. The air is still wet with memory. The earth exhales. The world, bruised but breathing, feels new. That moment, fragile, quiet, unmeasured, is what the soul calls peace. It does not arrive with trumpets or miracles. It comes like dawn, slow, unannounced, inevitable. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of awareness. It is the point where doing becomes being, where thought dissolves into perception. The body softens, the breath deepens, the mind learns the language of silence. Peace is physiological. When adrenaline fades, the vagus nerve hums again, telling the heart, you are safe. The body, long exiled by the mind, comes home. The nervous system does not need perfection. It needs permission to rest, to feel, to stop protecting and start existing. After the chaos of emotion, thought returns, but quieter. Wisdom dawns not as knowing more, but as needing less. Peace is uncovered beneath the rubble of expectation. When the storm passes, the simplest things become sacred. Sunlight on skin, leaves moving, the taste of water, the weight of your own breath. Simplicity is abundance without excess. Life distilled to awareness, gratitude, presence. Imagine the soul as an ocean. The surface may rage, but the depth is calm. This is equanimity, not apathy, but spaciousness. You are the ocean, not the wave. In the silence, echoes appear. Anxious selves, wounded selves, restless selves. You do not reject them, you embrace them. They were travelers leading you here. The deepest forgiveness is forgiving yourself for not knowing better when you couldn't. The wild woman rests. The inner wolf lies beside her. Love and loss have made peace. Desire and detachment coexist. Inside you, opposites no longer fight. They dance. This is wholeness, not perfection, but harmony. A soft light lives behind the eyes. Consciousness itself, the eternal witness untouched by any storm. You are not the story, you are the space it unfolds in. Truths become simple. Everything changes, Everything belongs. Everything passes. Everything returns. Peace is the nature of what you are when you stop running from yourself. When the mind grows silent enough, you can hear life itself breathing. There is only this: existence aware of itself. Enlightenment is clarity within. Stillness reveals that there was never a path to peace, because peace was the path. Every mistake and heartbreak was the way home. As night descends, breath becomes the universe expanding and resting. You are not separate. You never were. The storm is over. The soul lives in the eternal now. This moment is life itself, and it is enough.